Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live show, another Sunday night podding shed chat. Hopefully everything's coming through nice and clear. We seem to be streaming on both Facebook and YouTube tonight, so fingers crossed everything's working as it should. And I can see already over on YouTube, Stuart Jackson is joined and saying good evening to Richard. Good evening to you, Stuart. I hope you are well. Right, as always, phone lines are open on 07307135174, running across the bottom of the screen, as I'm sure you can all see. Ed Loud is out there saying his typical Eve goodnings, and over on Facebook, Stuart Jackson again saying good evening, and Ernie Samat, I hope I pronounced your name right. Greetings, Richard, from a very wet North Dorset. Well, if it's any consolation, Ernie, it's a very wet West Sussex as well, which has meant gardening has been a little tricky this weekend. We've had rain all weekend, and I spent all summer praying for rain, to be honest. But it's here now. It's filling up my water butts nicely, which should hopefully then help keep us in plenty of water throughout the harder winter periods. Harder winter periods, harder summer periods. So, what have I been doing this weekend? Well, I sheltered myself yesterday down on the allotment inside my greenhouse. I'm very lucky to have a greenhouse. And I was sort of doing a bit of tidying up in there, clearing things out, getting rid of stuff that I don't need. The normal sort of wintry jobs. I don't mind. I don't mind being cold so much. It's when it's wet that I'm not so keen on being outside. I'd sooner be cold than be wet, in all honesty. Today I've had a day at home, been doing a lot of admin again because it's just non-stop raining, but been out in the potting shed when I've been sowing a few seeds and pricking out quite a few seeds. So, as always, I want to know what you guys have been up to in your own allotments and gardens. Excuse me, let me know in the comments. So, while you do that, I'll just run through the comments we have received so far. So, over on YouTube, Muddy Boots has joined us. Good evening to you, buddy. Hope you are well. Ed Loud is saying, it's so wet, I walked straight into a river that had burst its banks during a walk around a nature reserve. Quite funny, really. How did you miss a burst river? That's what I want to know. Now, over on Facebook, we have got Ernie is saying, I missed your last two shows due to bedlam in the new house. That's understandable, Ernie. Now, Ernie, very, very excited. He's just moved to Dorset and he's got himself a brand new vegetable patch, which I'm absolutely excited to see what he's going to be doing with that over there. James Howard, good evening to you. Ian Beddoes, are you ever going to cook that carrot behind you? Depends which one, because I've got this one here or that one there, and I think even down here I've got a parsnip as well. But I won't be cooking those, no. Charlotte J. Gleason has joined. Hello, Charlotte. Hope you are well. Ian Suggett has joined. Hello, good evening. You will need more water butts to catch all the water. Yeah, I somehow don't think my 20 water butts that I have in total is going to be enough at the moment. And Ian Beddoes up in Manchester. Can't believe you have rain and it's dry here. That is a complete and utter turn of events, I've got to admit. Right, and Muddy Boots, I covered my carrot tanks to try and reduce them taking up water too quickly and splitting. Good point, actually, and that's certainly a challenge. I find outdoor tomatoes, because I've still got tomatoes that are being produced, because of this sudden flush of rain, it can lead to some of my tomatoes to split as well. So, but I kind of the belief that we can't do much about the weather. We just have to go with it and see what's best. And Ed Loud, the water, now this was him walking into a river. The water was covered with very long grass. I never saw it and ended up plonking myself straight into the water. Wished I caught it on camera. I would love to see that myself as well. Right, just going to have a swig of my coffee. So today, as I said, we have got a few things coming up, but I think I'm going to start with a news article that I found today because I found it rather interesting. Which one is it? Here we go. So this week I have added a link to in the description if you want to read this article, but it comes from broomsgrovestandard.co.uk. And it is 7 ways to get your hands on free plants. Now, it goes on to say the author, the writer, and Ella Walker says whether you're short on cash but want to grow your houseplant collection or have gaps to fill outside, there are cheaper ways. Beginner gardeners are often encouraged to start small, which normally means cheap. You don't go straight out and buy a massive banana tree or hand over £50 for a stylish, relatively well-established fiddle-leaved fig. Instead, especially with children, it's cress seeds in eggshells or runner beans bravely sprouting out of a yogurt pot, which is all very true. But her 7 ways of how to get your hands on free plants starts. Firstly, propagate. And what she says is assess what plants you already have and consider what you would like more of, and then go around taking cuttings and produce cuttings. Whether it's rosemary, verbena, lavender, they're all pretty easy to take cuttings from. Her next tip, divide. Slicing through or teasing apart the roots of plants and dividing into multiple plants may seem brutal, but it's actually advisable in many cases. Most perennials actually benefit from division every once in a while. And this can help improve plants and vigor, but it also increases the number of plants you have. Third tip, separate. Step away from the supermarket bagged herbs and pick up a living pot of basil or thyme instead next time you do your food shop. If you look at your basil plant that you buy from the supermarket, it's not one single basil, but multiple, all squished together into a pot. Split them out, pot them up individually, and you can double, triple the amount of plants that you have. Her fourth tip, collect seeds. When it comes to collecting and storing seeds for new or free plants, all you need is a little patience and some brown paper envelopes. Once plants have gone to seed, be it nasturtiums or something, let the seed pods dry, store in a cool, dry place, and before sowing out next year. Her fifth tip, buy plants that produce their own offspring. If you've ever owned a pilea, you'll know just how exciting it is to spot baby pileas springing up all around the base of the original plants. And it's not the only house plant to spawn. House succulents are quite common for this too. 6, regrow plants, and I actually did a podcast about this earlier on in the year, and it talks about taking a celery root or pak choy to turmeric and spring onions and regrow those veg from salad leftovers. Be it you take that root, you pot it into water and you regrow it. Or swap with people in the community. Now this happens a lot on allotments, and I think that's a great way of actually getting more plants. The age-old way to boost your plant collection is to swap and share with friends and family, because who doesn't like free plants? And it encourages community. So I think that is some very, very good tips that I've read in that. My only worry, and I've said this many, many times before, I support garden centres, good garden centres. And although as gardeners, we try and do everything for free, we try and do everything for as cheap as we can get it. But by doing that, are we not then supporting our local garden centre? This is a question that always goes through my head when I hear this this sort of debate on how we can save money. And I feel garden media, and I put myself in that as well, has this essence where we try and encourage people by making it as cheap as we can. But the garden industry suffers because of it. Although I feel the garden industry could take a step to challenging this. So let's have a quick look at what comments we've got coming in before I carry on and see if anyone has any thoughts on what I've said so far. Ed Loud is saying he'd wished he had done that with his basil. It died years ago. Well, there you go, Ed. You know, we're going to be growing food on your own allotment or in your windowsill. That's a great way to start it. The Amazing Explorer 101 is saying hello to myself and everyone. Hello to you. And do your own kitchen garden. Hey up everyone. Evening Richard, editing a video and listening in. Thank you very much. Let us know your thoughts on those tips for how to save money in gardening. Now over on Facebook. So where were we? Emily Champion has joined. Good evening. I'm looking for allotment owners who can help me. So everyone pay attention. My class topic is farming and allotments, and I thought it might be nice to ask a gardener some questions and they either film their answers or do a live Zoom in. 10-year-olds, thanks in advance. Well, Emily, I'm sure everyone out here will be happy to help. I'm more than happy to help. And in fact, I know somebody who I don't think is watching at the moment, but I will text him and I'll send you an email address to get in touch who might be a really good person to contact about this. Richard Golden, hello to you. And Stuart Jackson, hi all. As most of you know, we have planted our garlic and onions. Can we sow any other vegetables this month? Which are they? And this is all for school. Let's answer that question, Stuart. There is a huge list of plants that actually, or seeds that we can sow this year. On tomorrow's podcast, out Monday night, I'm actually going to be talking about what seeds we can sow throughout August. I start off, of course, with the supporter members' seeds that they receive, and there's 6 of those. So what have we got that we can sow? So corn salad, or lamb's lettuce as it's otherwise known, broad beans for overwintering, broad peas for overwintering, cauliflowers can be sown, onion, garlic, green manures. What else have we got? There's some Rab style broccoli, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they are pretty good at growing at this time of year and very, very quick. Herbs, don't forget herbs, coriander, parsley, they can all grow really, really well on a windowsill, and also worth sowing at this time. There's plenty more, Stuart, so listen to Monday's podcast and I will have a list compiled to help out with that. Charlotte Gleason, I did exactly that today. Split a pot of 10p reduced supermarket coriander. There were 20 seedlings. So let's get this right. For each coriander seedling, you paid half a pence for, if they all come true, if they all germinate. Excuse me. That's definitely something where you can save money. But this comes back to what I said at the beginning. Is that taking it away from the garden centres or taking it away from the nurseries? It's always a conflict that I have that I sometimes worry about, because I do believe in supporting local businesses, especially if they look after you, but they have to look after you. Steve House, in reply, I think, to Stuart Jackson, winter greens, spring greens, all going in this weekend. Definitely. Winter greens such as kale, cabbages, that sort of thing, all going in. I've got quite a few in myself. I wanted to get some cauliflowers in the ground this weekend. Unfortunately, it was not the chance, or didn't have the chance to do it, because I didn't want to get that wet outside, in all honesty. Amazing Explorer Rick has done a new video. What's it about? And he's saying hello to Kevin the Carrot and the carrots behind me. Thank you very much. Rick M. Hi Richard, we have a pepper plant in a conservatory which has lots of peppers on. Is there any way we can help them turn red? They seem to be taking a long time. Right. Okay. That's a good question. I'm sure, like tomatoes, if you have a banana near your peppers, that'll probably give off the same gas that helps ripen tomatoes. I'm sure it'll work the same for peppers. I also find that when I take a pepper off and just leave it on my worktop or something, it ripens a lot quicker as well, and starts to turn red pretty quickly. So that's definitely one way you can do it. Other than that, I'm trying to think. If they're in your conservatory, is your conservatory getting a lot of sun? Next question I'm going to ask to you, Rick. If you can let me know if they get a lot of sun, that'd be a good answer. Digwell Green Fingers, who was on Facebook, has moved over to YouTube as Facebook's all crackly. I get the impression YouTube is a lot better for live streaming. Amazing Explorer, the new video is of a seal. Can you please? I will watch the video, Dan, don't worry. And Allotment Life is saying hello to you. Amazing Explorer, how is your allotment? My allotment at the moment is very, very wet, and I find it hasn't got the love and care I should give it at the moment. The greenhouse is doing great. The half of the allotment is great, but the couch grass is just growing mad. There's still plenty of veg growing in there, and a lot more veg that are going in. And yeah, it just needs a bit of time spent on it. I've got 2 weeks off I've got 1 week at work, then I've got 2 weeks off. So you can guess what I'll be doing a lot of during that time. Down on the allotment, getting it into shape, as well as building a new podding shed out here in my home garden. Muddy Boots, if you do not plan on planting over winter, now is a good time to drop dress the beds with manure or organic matter. Yep, that's definitely something I'm trying to do at the moment as well. Unfortunately, I haven't got a huge amount of compost quite available, so I've moved on to using green manures more and more, finding that's a really really good way of getting humus or whatever they call it, organic matter into the ground, as well as it benefiting the ground. If you can't get manure, compost, anything like that for your organic matter, and it needs to be really well rotted, green manures might be the way to go. Allotment Life, ripe bananas give beneficial ethylene. That's the word I was looking for. I knew it was some type of gas. Digwell Green Fingers is going to come up with his winter veg list in just a moment. And Rick M is saying it gets sun between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Just now, the pepper plant. So I can straight away tell you that the reason they're not ripening fast enough is they're not getting enough sun. Peppers really do love a lot of sun. And we really need 8 hours. So what you might need to do is move your pepper plant somewhere still in a conservatory you can get the most amount of sun, and try perhaps pull up some tinfoil or something to reflect light onto it. That might also help encourage it to ripen. Allotment Life, we're due to get some horses manure on site soon, Nigel. We've had some delivered on our allotment site, and it's already been attacked. And Nigel has had 6 tons of cow manure delivered today. I spoke about manures on Monday's podcast, funnily enough, and I am after some alpaca manure at the moment. Over on Facebook, Charlotte Gleason, make sure there are not too many peppers on each plant. This is to help Rick M with his peppers. Maybe eat some still green. I mean, they are fine green. You'll find they are still sweeter than supermarket green peppers. And Stuart Jackson, who has the same trouble I have with a clay soil, is that when it rains, you can't get in it at all, which is definitely a problem I have which is why I find the green manures really work well at breaking up that clay soil and really doing the work for me, which is why I'm moving more and more over it. And also with the no dig method, all that compost manure just gets laid on top and the worms pull it down through me. I have found using the no dig method that all the manure and the compost that I've placed on top over the years has gone into the soil, and the clays came back up, which is kind of what you want anyway, but it has definitely improved my soil by far. Okay, huge list of what Digwell Green Fingers has growing. So Cabbage Advantage F1, Capricorn F1, Marble F1, Rigoletto F1, Spring Hero F1, Tundra F1, Alsmere AGM. Oh, cauliflowers. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to read them all out. So we got cabbages, cauliflowers, garlic, lettuce, onion, sprouting broccoli, spinach, garlic, cauliflower. Whew. Quite a lot there. Digwell Green Fingers, or Steve as he's also known as, is growing over winter into spring. So quite a bit going on. What else is going on? Allotment Life is saying cow manure is his favourite. I've never tried cow manure, but somebody on my allotment who is also a YouTuber, you may know, he used to be Bill and Val's two plots of heaven. I forget what they're called now. They use cow manure on their allotment, and when I spoke to them about it, every 3 years they place it down, and I've got to admit, their soil does look amazing. So there's definitely a lot said for cow manure. What else? Can't wait to get my hands dirty. Allotment Life is saying. And Steve likes his cabbages and collies. I can tell that with the amount he's growing. Allotment Life is also for Rick. Pull excess leaves from peppers and let the air through, or you end up with botrytis, which is a good point. Muddy Boots is looking forward to moving his cow manure. There's going to be about 90 barrow loads. There's a lot of peppers on the plant. This is from Rick M with regards to that. There's a lot of peppers on the plant, and we may have left it too late to sow them, as the conservatory gets much longer sunlight hours earlier in the summer. Well, the other option, if you can nip to a local IKEA, actually, is to go and get some of these, I can't see very well there, these grow lights, LED grow lights, and I find that has really helped improve the amount, especially in seedling stage, get that light really onto the plants, and it has helped. That could be another option, but I would try the bananas and try just removing a few. Green peppers are absolutely fine. Over on Facebook, Stuart Jackson wants to start a no-dig bed at school. How deep should I go with the compost? That depends really on how much you got, is the main question. I find I've gone quite deep. I'm talking sort of 6 to 10 inches, purely because it's easier for me to produce compost than it is to get hold of manure. But what I believe Charles Dowding says is he'll go about 6 inches of manure and then a couple of inches of compost. So you don't need to go that deep with a compost, but certainly I think at least 6 inches if you're just going to use compost. That's my advice. Muddy Boots, cow manure retains moisture better than horse manure, and I find it has less weeds due to travelling through all of the cows' stomachs. This has been something I've been wondering, actually, because as you know, I get couch grass really badly on my allotment, and I've been wondering, I've noticed the people that don't use the horse manure don't seem to get as much couch grass, and I am wondering if perhaps using cow manure or alpaca manure is going to be better instead of the horse manure for that very reason as well. But then, of course, I've still got to dig out or get rid of all this couch grass, which, as anybody knows, is my nemesis. A long life. By the time Nigel finishes moving his manure, he'll have arms like Popeye. Yeah, well, with all that spinach as well. Ed Loud, sorry, are you all saying I should install a cow on my windowsill? I don't know if they do mini cows anymore. You know, like you get mini pigs and mini goats. I don't know about cows. 3 to 4 inches is ideal for the no dig a bed. That's a good idea. Could help, Ed, LOL, but will block out the light. Yeah, I'll be more worried about the smell and everything as well. Over on Facebook, Ernie, the previous owner had neglected ground elder growing through the plot of berries. The roots have gone deep and spread into the plot of veg and flowering plants. I feel I may have to blitz the whole plot with weed killer to start fresh for next year. What do you think, Richard? I'll uproot the plants that can be saved into pots. Okay. I do not like to use weed killer myself, so I would urge you not to use it. But if you feel you have to, then that's up to you. What you might be better doing is dig out the plants that you want to save, keep them really well watered, and really do look after them really well, and dig out as much of the roots from that bed as you possibly can, and then keep hoeing it, and just keep hoeing it so that any plant does not get the chance to grow through. It's not easy, but it can be done. Other options, always like my other options, is don't dig anything out, and you mulch everything with compost, manure, and then add something like grass clippings or straw to really smother out those weeds so they don't grow as well, otherwise known as mulching. I tried straw on my strawberry bed this year, and it didn't work for me, but I did use grass clippings, and that worked really well for me. Wood or chopped up wood, that can work as well, but it needs to be rotted down a bit, because otherwise it leaches nitrogen from the soil, which isn't a good idea. Cardboard can also work as well. It looks a bit messy with cardboard, but it can certainly work, and it just covers out those plots. But we'll leave that for everyone else and see what other options people have. So Ernie down in Dorset has got a new pot. It's been a bit neglected, and he's got ground elder growing through a lot of raspberries and stuff. We had a video weeks ago from it. Roots have gone deep and spread throughout the plot of veg and flowering plants. What can you suggest that he does other than weed killing, which is not my preferred way to do things? Over on Facebook, Digwell Green Fingers, you hit the nail on the head there, Richard. I can't remember what I said. And every cutting of the ground elder leaves will make it weaker, sorry. So definitely what Steve's meaning there, Early. Every time you hoe, even if it starts to grow again, you just keep cutting that plant down, it will eventually get weaker and weaker, because then it's not putting out its leaves and it's not able to photosynthesize, and all the energy in the roots is going towards making that plant and trying to produce a plant when it can't be done. Okay, I have got a few photos that have been posted in the Facebook group or sent to me that I thought I'd quickly show you all. Well, it's time to take another look at the photos that I have received either in the Facebook group or sent to me via email. Firstly, Charlotte Gleason, all the way down in Guernsey, has been busy harvesting. She's got some kale, some chard, some baby leeks, some beetroot, some peppers, chilies, mints, quite a lot, as you can see in this photo. Now, she also has leeks growing under protection in her garden, along with some calibrees and some cauliflowers ready for the spring. She's also thinned out her chard, giving the thinnings to her hens. Next we have Dirk, and Dirk has been harvesting brown beans. First time they've grown these, and they've turned them into brown bean soup. Now, with the collection of pumpkins, I think they are in for a really good autumn. Now, Simon has shared this photo of his Crown Prince pumpkin harvest. He says they are much better for eating than the standard orange pumpkins. But he's also harvested them before they will go missing from his allotment because they tend to get stolen. He's also going to let us know just how they taste, and I'm quite looking forward to hearing that. Now, Stuart has taken a walk through his local orchard and taken a few photos. What an amazing view he has there. Now, he has also had some windfall apples that he's going to make apple jelly from. Really, really tasty. Now, finally, Richard Golding has been to his local co-op and has brought these items in this picture on your screen now. Now, what's so special about these, you may ask? Well, every item on this photo cost him less than 40p. Just goes to show there are bargains to be had at this time of year. Well, that is it for this week. Keep posting your photos in the Facebook group or send them via email to me at richard@veggrowpodcast.co.uk, and we'll use them in future shows. What a great collection of photos. I did have to rush through the ones from the orchard, admittedly, but what a great set of photos. I know Charlotte is watching. I'm so impressed with the harvest that she had right at the beginning of that little clip. So going back to Ernie's discussion, everyone over on YouTube, the Digwell Green Fingers is saying every cutting of, we've said that, and it's the same with docks and bindweed. Just keep chopping it down and it will get weaker and weaker. Now, this reminds me of a saying that I think it was Bob Flowerdew said, even if you hoe when you don't see a weed, you will never see a weed. And I think that's certainly true, and something I try and adopt myself. It's easier said than done, I will say that. And it doesn't work for couch grass. I'm peed off with couch grass, to put it politely. Allotment life. Sometimes you have to grin and bear it. Oh, we have a caller. Haha. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
I'm getting wet.
You're getting wet. You're getting wet. So for everyone watching, it's Lee Connolly, aka Skinny Jean Gardener, on the phone all the way in Colchester, which sounds very, very wet today.
Ahoy there.
Ahoy there.
Literally ahoy. It's like really wet.
Yeah, sure.
How are you, man? What's going down?
Yeah, all good. All good. All here. We're dealing with Ernie's neglected ground elder problem. We're just discussing that, and there was more questions coming in. We had Emily Champion, actually. This is one for you.
Oh.
Good evening. I'm looking for allotment owners who can help me out. My class topic is farming and allotments, and I thought it might be nice to ask a gardener some questions, and they either film their answers or do a live Zoom. 10-year-olds, thanks in advance.
Lee at skinnyjeangardener.co.uk.
I thought that would be right up your street.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
Sure. Of course.
That sounds pucker.
Yeah, of course. Everyone else in the audience can participate as well if they want. Just get in touch with Emily or let me know, and I'll pop the name through to you.
For sure, man. Yeah, I'm well up for that.
Cool, cool. So, what's happening, man? What have you been up to?
Problem. I got a problem. I always come with problems, so that I like to solve. I don't know if I've talked about it on this show before, but I've got worms. It's in, actually, I think I rang the wrong show. Is it a medical show or not? I've got worms, and in the composting worms. Right, let's clear that up.
Right.
Composting worms,
Okay.
and I've not checked them for about a week
Okay.
now. It's really wet, like wet in there,
Okay.
and I put a whole. Right, here's the story. Right, let me start from the start. I put a whole bag of composting worms in there.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that. That was a week ago. And I went today to feed them some scraps.
Right.
Couldn't find them. It's really, really wet in there.
Right.
I had a little dig around. I can't see them anywhere.
Okay. Now this
Have
is
they
in
escaped?
this is in your wormery, yeah?
Yes, in an actual wormery.
And it's an old wormery, isn't it? It's not a brand new clean wormery.
No, it's old.
Right. Because I know they don't. If a wormery's clean, they tend to escape. Brand new, that you have to make them dirty a bit before you put the worms in. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, got you.
Now,
How can they escape? This is the thing. Like, have they escaped, or are they really hiding really well?
I suspect they're probably hiding really well. How many layers of compost and stuff have you got in your wormery at the moment?
One.
So it's all in that bottom tray.
Yeah.
Is that bottom, because underneath that where your liquid collects, is that overflowing?
Yeah, it's almost filling. So I thought I better let the tap rock.
Right.
And I've left the tap open because it feels like I don't know how it's filling with water.
Yeah. Could be just the rain getting in.
I've put it under a bit of cover now because I thought this can't be good for them.
No. What you might want to do, if you've got an ability to grab any compost,
I have the ability, yes.
fill up a second tub with compost.
Yep.
And put that on top of that first one. That way the worms have got somewhere to go. That might be dry.
Like an escape route.
Like an escape route. I suspect they probably have just gone somewhere to try and find somewhere dry and not be so waterlogged. That being said, Earth, worms do live in the earth where it can get quite wet and waterlogged. So I think they'll probably be okay.
I just thought the amount that I put in there to what I could find. I mean, I suppose they've spread out and hid around the places and all sorts. I found a couple, but I'm desperate not to have the same situation as the last set of worms. RIP.
Yeah. Just get some compost in the second one, and see how it goes. That's what I would say. I
read putting some screwed up paper in there as well helps them a little bit.
Yeah,
dries it out a little bit.
Definitely, that will absorb some of the water. You might want to put that underneath the first one though. Just thinking about it for the time being, if it's so wet that rainwater's getting in there.
Yeah, I'll put it under. It's under cover now, so rainwater won't get into it anymore.
Oh, excellent.
But and here's my second problem.
Okay.
So I don't feel like we're giving it enough scraps of food.
Okay.
Now this may be an issue with my cooking style. Bird's eye chicken nuggets can't really go in there afterwards.
No.
But what can I do about this? Like, I'm giving them probably, like we've had roast dinner tonight.
Uh-huh.
We'll give them some potato scraps, a bit of broccoli.
Yeah.
That's about it actually today.
Okay.
They're getting that about twice a week maybe.
Okay. Well,
not a massive amount.
Yeah. Well, the answer to that is quite simple. Eat more veg, fresh veg.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I suppose. I suppose McCain's chips aren't the healthiest. I hear what you're saying.
No.
Frozen. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this is going to sound silly. There's not such a thing as worm food, is there?
There is, because I had some delivered when I got my wormery. But where you would buy it from, I don't know. But Google it and you might find it. I'm sure people out there will be tapping it in right now to tell us that they exist.
They exist, yeah. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll give you a worm update once again.
Yeah.
Next Sunday.
I look forward to it.
Cheers, dude. Yeah, but this rain is horrendous, man. Like, It's just been too wet this weekend.
Have you got out in the garden with Olive this weekend?
You've got to be joking, ain't you? You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
One of the things we have been talking about a lot is pumpkins, though. So without now the big family argument this week is to eat or to paint pumpkins that we've grown. So
you know where I stand.
Yeah, well, 1/3 of the family over here in Essex says to cook. The other 2/3, which seem to be winning at the moment, says they want to paint them. So we'll see. If only we could do both.
Well, I'm trying to think. Why don't you get a bit of cardboard, cut it out into a pumpkin shape, and paint that?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I've just seen a bat fly past. Yeah, we could do that. It's not a bad idea. What was I going to say to you? Oh, I tell you where I have been at the weekend, which I really hate talking about pumpkins.
Okay.
Is for £1 you can buy a plastic pumpkin.
Right. Yeah.
Mental.
See, I would prefer, in my personal opinion, because I think carving pumpkins for Halloween is a waste of a food source when there's so many starving people, as you know. Of course, it's up to people what they do with their own pumpkins. But I would prefer somebody goes and spends £1 on a plastic pumpkin and they use it year after year after year, then goes and spend £1 on a pumpkin that basically ends up in a bin.
You make a good argument there, my friend. A good argument. The only good thing is, if you carve one, at least you can roast the seeds.
That is very true. That is very true.
Which we will be doing again this year. Although I think I burnt them last year, so that was, I mean, not a surprise really, is it? But that's what happened.
No, it's not easy to roast pumpkin seeds and get them to taste great, I've found.
I've done it once, well, with chili flakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, last year didn't go too. I want to maybe make them a bit sugary.
Yeah, that could work. Add a bit of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Olive's not so keen on the old chili.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how we get on.
Please do. Please do.
Have a great show, mate.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care.
I'll speak to you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye. So there we go. Lee Connolly there, all the way from Colchester on the phone. You can call in 07307 135 174. Ask me any question you want about, as long as it's garden related, or just add anything you want to the conversation. Quite a few comments came in during that time. We will start over on Facebook. Charlotte Gleason, thanks Richard, that's kind. The hard work earlier in the year is definitely worth it. Just cooking up my produce for healthy lunches. So Charlotte is referring to that first set of photos that I was really impressed with the amount of food that Charlotte has pulled in from her garden. Ian Beddoes is saying, have the worms tried to escape back to Yorkshire? That's a bit of a ongoing joke. Nigel Sadler, hello to you. Hello on a soggy Sunday. I'm hoping we can get dry weather window so I can clear the ground of the remainder of the summer growth and think about putting in some winter veg. What should I consider, and should I buy plugs or seed? Well, Nigel, we've been discussing this quite a bit earlier on. It's probably a bit too late to start things like cabbages or cauliflowers off at the moment. But you can buy those from a garden centre, certainly, and get those in the ground. We could do lamb's lettuce or what's it also called? I forget what it's also called off the top of my head. As a seeds, we can start those now. Spinach, herbs. Keep saying herbs because I love growing herbs. There's lots and lots that we can be growing and sowing ready now. I'll be talking about this on Monday's podcast, so you get a recap on that. LD chips are cheaper from Ian. Well, there you go. Nigel Sadler, we soak the roast sunflower seeds all the time. We grind them up and use them as flour. That's something I've never tried before. Over on YouTube, oh, I love brown beans and soup. Well done. Love all beans, pulses and legumes. Yeah, I've never tried brown bean soup, but after seeing that, I think I might have to try and find it and give it a try. Turbo Stream, I have bindweed growing from next year. I found loosening the soil with a fork helps so you can pull all the roots out. Never use a spade or it will be 10 times worse. And Digwell Green Fingers is saying that's good advice to Turbo Stream. There you go. Oh, we have another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Richard. It's Stuart.
Hello, Stuart. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine, mate. Doing fine.
Excellent.
Apart from this horrible rain.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'm fine.
It's not pleasant, is it?
No, there's me sat trying to plan what I'm going to do with the kids for the next couple of weeks, and the weather forecast is sort of damp them on it a little bit, as they say. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, definitely the pun there, but
yeah,
it
is. We needed it 2 weeks ago, but not now.
I think it's the amount of rain we got in such a short period, and the fact that it's rained at weekend when many of us are not working.
It's 2 weeks ago. I put all my, as you know, I grow a load of flowers. All my flowers from mushroom trays with a bit of newspaper in the bottom to watering trays. And you can imagine what I had to do this morning.
Yeah.
Swap them back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
of course.
But it is life. That's the way it works. So, but the reason I rung in was I've used the butternut squash today. I didn't grow it myself, I'm afraid.
Okay.
But I'm intending to grow it next year. Now, the seeds I've got from the one I bought, do you think they will germinate?
Where did you buy it from? Was it a supermarket or a local farm?
No, it was a supermarket.
It was a supermarket. It's probably then imported from somewhere like Spain. Unless it says on their British produce.
Yeah.
I would suspect it's probably imported from somewhere like Spain. It might do okay, but it might not. It's a tough one to...
So I'm better off not being a tight git and go buy some seeds.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But that being said, you can give it a try and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Just try it as well, is what I would say. Because you might be surprised when it works. The other trouble as well, if you don't know what variety it is, it could be an F1 variety. So it may not come back true to form. But again, you might get something completely different that completely blows you away. So swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, no, it's worth it. It's, I've been and bought a load of board bean seeds for the kids to plant.
Yeah.
That's why I sent the message earlier about. But one of the children in the group had obviously done a little bit of research and said we can put plastic bottles over the seeds.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
Just go. It's there. As you know, my philosophy, it's there. It's their ideas, whatever they want to do. So they said board beans. I went and got the seeds. And they're going to cut the bottles and put them in, and then put a stick through the top so they don't blow away.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to see if it works.
Yeah. So for everyone, I'll just explain to everyone watching who may not know. Stuart teaches kids in a school gardening, and you let the kids do what they want to do. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah. Well, within reason. Yeah. Basically, I put seeds on the table, and then they choose what to sow. Yeah. And the learning process is there's certain seeds will not germinate in October, and certain seeds will, but they got to learn that. Mm-hmm. So because they started that podcast, I said, look, you've got to start doing research. You've got to start telling me what you want to do. Yeah. Rather than me bringing the seeds in, you tell me what seeds you want me to go and buy. Yeah. Then I'll go and get them. Yeah. So that's the plan now. So they will then, from the beginning, they will plan. Rather than just take what's on the table, they've hopefully researched what will germinate in October, November, December, January, February, March, and we will be sowing at the right time. Fantastic. But this is older ones. This is Key Stage 2. So Key Stage 1, I just chuck seeds on the table and let them sow them, and if they grow, they grow. Yeah, of course. But yeah, they're really getting into it. It's costing me quite a few dinner times. my lunch break is getting shorter and shorter. Oh, bless them. But it keeps them out of mischief.
Yeah.
And they realise where it all comes from, you know?
Yeah.
So we've done our garlic, our onions. Then they wanted to do boar beans. I thought, well, I'll go and get them. And I couldn't get the ones that I would have chose. So I've just got I can't remember what they were called now. But I've got them. And then hopefully, crimson. So
yeah.
Hopefully they will germinate and they'll be able to look after them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is if we have a hard frost over the Christmas period and they're not covered up. So that's the only other problem.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I mean, it's slightly different for me being on the south coast, but I've always left my broad beans outside, no protection whatsoever, and they've always done fine.
Well, they should be okay because the garden that we chose, there's a sort of 4.5 foot wall one side and the building's the other. So it's only like 5 meters across.
Yeah.
So they should be well protected, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I've got fleece I can chuck over them if needed. But then they've got that's the plan. That's why I'm picking your brains so that when they ask me questions, I can answer them. So,
no pressure.
So I look clever. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, and I can't. And there's loads. I have to listen back because I missed about 10 minutes. So I sent the question in and I missed about 10 minutes.
Right.
But the basis of what you said earlier was it get the plug plants now for the calibres and.
For Nigel's, I mean, there are some varieties that can be sown now, I believe, but I would say it does. I would say we get into the later end of when we can sow them. I mean, the biggest tip: always read what's on the packet, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are some varieties that can be sown now, but October is really, I feel, the last chance that we can get most of these plants in the ground before the ground gets too cold for them. Once we're into November, December, it's going the wrong way for them. So, yeah, if you are struggling, it's certainly the chance to go and buy plug plants or something from a garden centre to get them in. But that being said, there are still lots of seeds that we can sow throughout October. So,
well, I'll listen to your podcast.
Listen to tomorrow's podcast. I keep saying that because it's
no, it's right. That's my journey to work, Richard. It's because I've now got to go to work the same as you. I listen to your podcast on the way to work. So
yeah.
So and then it takes me go to work and back again. That's the trouble.
Right.
So
yeah.
So anyway, I better go and let somebody else ring in.
Okay. Well, lovely to hear from you.
I'm very disappointed that you haven't got your VIP card. I don't know if he's still listening, but
I forgot to mention that.
The number one to not get your card.
I'm sure it will turn up. To be fair, our post has been really slow lately, so it could be that.
Yeah, could be that.
Could be that. Oh, actually,
anyway,
Stuart, while you have you on the phone, you wanted to become a supporters members. If you go on the website now, I have set it up for.
Oh, fab!
So if you want to check it out, All right.
Right. Thanks very much, Rich.
No worries. Cheers.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
We have another caller as well. Hello, caller. Oh, he just went. He just went as I answered it. Typical. Okay. So lots more. Oh, here he comes back. I literally just answered when you hanged up.
You just answered as I hang up.
Yes. How you doing?
Are you free?
I'm free. Yes, go for it. No, you're live. Just
because there's a delay, so I'm a bit confused.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a podcast out tonight because I'm not feeling too up to it. I think I've caught a bit of a cold and a sniffle.
Right. Okay.
From being stuck in the shed.
Yeah.
And it's been raining all weekend.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about those boxes to your left.
Yes.
Where did you get the green one from? I quite like that.
Well, I went into a shop called The Works.
Right.
And they were on sale for there, but they were like the smaller one on top. So I took it home. I spray painted it and glued on the little label, and then I sprayed over some lacquer as well. And then on the inside, I put some wooden slats so I can keep each seeds organised in there.
Oh, I quite like that. I quite like that idea. I think I might have to go and search for one.
Yeah, I think the box was something like £10, but I've seen they've gone cheaper at the moment. Obviously, you won't see, but I've just shown everyone on the live stream what's going on inside the box.
Oh, I'll see that in about 20 seconds. Then.
Yeah. It was quite easy to do. I don't know if you have the same trouble when you get so many different seeds. I've got over 600 different packs. I wanted somewhere organised to keep them.
Well, I was, because I've been on the plot today, and yes, you've just opened the box now. So, yeah, that looks good. I thought I had a bag of empty seed packets because I've been cleaning the shed because there's not a lot you can do in this weather. And then I realised, no, the packets were still full. So one of my tasks now is to not buy anything until I've gone through all my seeds.
Yeah.
And I seem to have quite a lot of seeds, but it's your fault that it's taken me so long to get home tonight.
My fault?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay.
I was listening to your latest podcast.
Yeah.
And without realising it, I jumped on the wrong bus.
Oh, I do apologise for that then.
So I ended up going, I saw a thing saying bus on diversion. So I thought, oh, it's probably just going around the houses a bit. No, it went directly to Peckham. And I don't live anywhere near Peckham.
Oh, dear. I do apologise
so I had
for
to
that.
catch another bus and go home again. So, yes, that's how interesting it was. I just couldn't press stop.
Couldn't press stop. Fair enough.
So now I'm home. The lemp sip is on the go. I've just put out a podcast. So I've just put out a video, so I don't feel that guilty about not putting a podcast out tonight.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's not as easy as it looks, and when you feel tired, it's hard to be on. So
it feels like being back in Wales because it started raining on Tuesday, and it hasn't stopped.
Yeah. I think that's an overriding theme we're getting from everyone tonight is that the rain has just stopped everyone from going out into their garden.
Well, I've only tuned in the last 10 minutes because some of us have been on buses they didn't want to be on.
Oh dear.
So I will go back and I will watch and I will catch up with what's been said.
Excellent.
But I can't see where this rain's going to stop. It's because it seems to be going on for the next week with me.
I think next weekend looks good. So fingers crossed.
Right. Well, I think I'll go to sleep in 10 minutes and I'll wake up in 6 days' time.
Good plan. Good plan.
Right. I will go back and watch you from the beginning.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Sean.
Speak to you later.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
So that was Sean James Cameron, if you didn't know, from London. I normally try and introduce them or get them to say who they are. Seeing as he's not going to be doing a live show tonight, I think we'll run a little bit over because I've got lots of comments to go through and I've got a video that I want to share. Right, going back. Where do I go? Ah, right. On YouTube. Composting worms, wormery. Well, this is all new to me. Love learning new stuff from Ed Loud. And actually, Ed Loud, as you know, I'm trying to encourage you to grow more food or any food in your little area you have with no outdoor space. A wormery might be more ideal for you than anywhere else. Grow Your Plot is out there and saying hello, Dave Lifton. Hello, mate. How are you doing? It's been a long time. Turbo Stream dig well. It's a long job low. I think that's talking about digging out the weeds. I'll try. I won't read out every comment. Lee is going to get a name of himself committing worm genocide. Easy answer. Next year, grow more pumpkins. Good answer. Or Digwell Green Fingers saying, eat the pumpkin after Halloween. That's another good idea, but it's not as nice fresh, is it? Digwell Green Fingers has had to go because he's got stew ready, all my own veg. Fantastic. I've got steak for dinner tonight with all my own veg as well. Turbo Stream, I am hoping all the rain will swell my leeks and remaining beetroot. I certainly hope it will help a lot of our food as well. Muddy Boots is saying shredded paper will help dry the soil. Don't worry, the worms will go deeper if they are cold. Worms usually escape if there is not enough food in the mix or there is something in there that they do not like, such as acidic items. And if your worm bins are outdoors, now is a good time to think about insulating the outside of a container with an old carpet. And don't put cooked food in the wormery. This is great, isn't it? We get all the advice from everyone out here. So cow manure or maybe no manure on new soil. From Mike Stevens, hello, hope you're well. Cow manure seems to be very popular, and I certainly think it seems to be better than horse manure. Certainly because cows seem to digest a lot of the food a lot better. That being said, alpaca, they, from what I've read, have the best digestion system out of them all. So, but you need quite a bit. Right. If you are listening, I'll text you. If not, use cheap porridge oats, old coffee grounds, veg peeling, stale bread, ground eggshells in your wormery. Porridge oats, that might be a good food for your wormery. Mike Stevens, I planted winter lettuce and kale out this week. Fantastic. Actually, I was looking at my winter lettuce today. Yesterday, sorry, on the allotment, and I think that's ready for harvesting. So, still got charm for winter salads. Mike Stevens, also sage, lavender and periwinkle. Used to get periwinkle in my old garden as a herb, as a weed, sorry. And I think lavender will make a nice low hedge. Has anyone made a natural hedgerow out of hazel or thorn? I've not made a hedgerow out of hazel or thorn. I've used hazel as a tree for coppicing in order to get hazel canes from. But the lavender hedge, I'm actually doing a herb hedge at the moment in my back garden as a little project, using things like lavender, rosemary, thyme, as long as it's the upright, and then just try and make it look like a formal border around the garden. And I think that's going to look really cool if it works. Take it easy, Sean. Don't worry, Sean. At least you didn't walk into the river like Ed did. Hey everyone, I've just got new bedding for the entire household, duvets and pillows. Any uses for the garden for the old bedding? If it's a natural fibre material, then it can probably go into your compost heap. If it's not a natural and it's synthetic, you might use it for insulating or wrapping around some of your plants and your pots to keep them warmer in these colder times. Apart from that, I can't think of anything else, so we'll throw that out there to everyone else. Turbo Stream, Muddy Boots, remind us of your mate in Halloween and compost scheme. Forgot his name. Oh yeah, Terry King, Mick Pulteney from Atherstone. Yeah, the compost king. Yes, Mick, that's him. Mick is a great guy. I put coffee grounds in my compost. That's a good idea, Richard. Thank you, Mike. Over on Facebook, and we haven't had any comments come in. I've got one more video that I want to show you, and this is something that I've been talking about quite a bit on the podcast and have started implementing. So I'll put that up now and get your ideas on it. Well, it's miserable out there. Thankfully, I have a greenhouse in which I can do some work in and stay in the dry. So as I said, I'm lucky enough to have a greenhouse on the allotment. I've got one at home as well. But this greenhouse I inherited off my grandfather last year, I think it was. I put this on the allotment. We did have trouble with a glass smashing over winter, but this year has been the first full year that I've managed to use it, and it's been a real blessing, I've got to say. But now I have learned how to, or spent a year with it, and I've figured out what I'm going to be doing with this. Now, down this side, the northern side, if you like, I put in a bed, and into that bed I filled it up with manure, compost, and I've been growing tomatoes and a few other plants. Tomatoes have been the most successful, I've got to say. They worked absolutely really well, absolutely fantastic. Pleased with them. They've grown several tomatoes and we've had no blight. That's in part due to them being under glass. One of the disadvantages, and I wouldn't say this is a huge disadvantage to be fair, but it has needed quite a bit of watering. Obviously being indoors, hot summer, I've had to keep on top of watering. That's not a huge problem, it's just the way it is, and that's the thing with greenhouses. But on the shelf that I've got on the southern side, I grew a few chilies in some plant pots that I made into wicking beds. I say plant pots, but they're actually on paint tins. And what I found with those is because the wicking beds create a water reservoir underneath, they've only needed watering about once a week, and the soil has stayed moist right throughout the whole time. So this brings me up to what I'm planning to set up over the winter, and I've started setting it up already. Just down in the corner in that bed, I've got a tub. Into that tub I have filled with compost and made it into another wicking bed. And I have sowed some peas, which have all germinated, and they'll be overwintering inside this greenhouse to grow on and eventually provide us with what we want, which is peas. So my idea here is, and I'll be interested to know anybody else's thoughts on this, I'm going to have down this side a whole row of these containers, all the same as wicking beds, which will have all the plants growing into them that I want to grow, be it tomatoes, maybe chilies, maybe aubergines, cucumbers, that sort of thing. Just then we're not growing into the ground. Now I do admit that I much prefer growing into the ground. Pots, I just find they're a lot harder work, but because of the success I've had with these wicking beds this year, the fact that they don't need, or they only need watering once a week because we're filling up that water reservoir, I feel has made it worth trying out again in this, just so then I've got more time to spend outside doing all the other jobs as well and not having to worry so much about what's going on here. So that's my sort of thoughts. I'll love to know if anybody else has any thoughts on that, or if anybody else has anything that they're going to try a bit different throughout this winter. Let me know in the comments. Right, so yes, wicking beds have been a great success on the allotment in the greenhouses, and I've got a few at home. And I'm thinking in my greenhouse on my allotment, Grandad's greenhouse as I called it, I'm going to carry on with that. My drawback is, of course, plastic. Those containers are made of plastic, and it's the only material that I think is going to be suitable for this, because what else is there that does that water retention as well as hold on to everything? But the fact it's worked so well with my chilies or my spring onions at home and my lettuces just made me really want to expand on this. And in my greenhouse, I think it's the best place for it. This year, with lockdown, it was quite lucky because I could get down to the allotment on a daily basis. But when I started returning back to work, I couldn't get down to the allotment on a daily basis, and it was a bit harder to really maintain it. And I think that's just one way I feel of it being a lot easier to keep on top of it. So I can already see over on the YouTube group that Mike Stevens is already saying that he would never have thought of that. And Turbo Stream is saying those wicking beds sound really good. So obvious when you think about it. It really has blown me away how well they have worked this year. I know using plastic is not the most eco-friendly system, but it does work, and it has certainly helped me out quite well. Now, Charlotte Gleason over on Facebook has actually pointed out old galvanised buckets would work, but they are pricier, and actually didn't even think of old galvanised buckets. I'll keep my eye out for some of those. Or I did think about old fish tanks, but I didn't think glass is probably going to be suitable. And all you got to do is drill one hole in the side to let water escape when it reaches that point. Glass is a bit trickier to do, but galvanised buckets or old galvanised troughs, certainly something there for that. Oh, Charlotte, you've just came up with a great idea for me, so I'm going to be looking out for galvanised buckets. Okay, well, we'll keep going for another 5 minutes, and if anybody wants to call in, it's 07307 135 174. I believe you can actually call in on WhatsApp through that as well. I'm not sure if I think we had it when we done our 24-hour live. People were able to call in on WhatsApp through that same number, which might help some people out if that's any easier for you. Charlotte Gleason, I too avoid too many pots due to watering, hence the wicking beds. Oh, Charlotte, do you have wicking beds yourself as well? Or is that just a general thing? Or Sean's, talk to your local florist. They have large bucket bins. I've actually used some of those buckets that I think Morrison's, the supermarket, they sell them when they finished using them. But I found they cracked a bit too easily, those plastic that they use for those, which I grew potatoes in them, if I remember right, and I've still got them. They were okay, but they're just not quite as able to withstand even just a gentle drill in the side without them cracking. Turbo Stream, old chicken pellet tubs are ideal. Might have to try next year. Yeah, chicken pellet tubs I think would work as well. Like I said, or as you saw in that video, old paint tins, the plastic ones. I'm wondering now about the metal ones, if they would work if they're big enough. But that definitely is another option. Charlotte's saying she hasn't done the wicking beds yet. I got a feeling she might be giving them a try now. And Stuart Jackson, how deep should the drainage be on your wicking beds? Oh, we have another call. I'll come back to your question in a second, Stuart. Hello, Sean again.
Sean again. A quick. Well, I couldn't spell polystyrene, so I thought it'd be easier to phone you.
Okay.
My local pet shop gets their dog food delivered in polystyrene boxes, which are quite big, and I use them as to put seeds in because of the whiteness, the light. But you could have them for the greenhouse, and then it's easy to just drill a hole through the side.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea because I start my leeks off in polystyrene boxes as well. That's I get from
these ones that I've got. They're about a foot and a half deep by about probably the same in the other direction. But every week they throw out about 20 or 30 because apparently dog food now that has to, this particular brand has to be chilled.
Yeah.
And they just throw them out, and they've got the lids on top as well.
Mm-hmm.
So pop down to your local pet shop and have a word with them.
Yeah, well, a lot of our restaurants get fish delivered in them as well, and I know they throw those out. And actually, we get a meat delivery from our butcher, and that's delivered in those polystyrene boxes as well. So that's definitely something I didn't even think of. Yeah,
they're very good for putting a pane of glass on top as well, and putting your seeds in.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's saved me trying to work out how to spell polystyrene.
Yeah.
Speak to you later.
Have a good one. Cheers. Thank you. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. There we go. Didn't even think of polystyrene boxes, which I've got quite a few of them collected all up over the place. Now, Stuart was asking, how deep should the drainage be on your wicking bed? So what I do, I take a little drill, about an 1/8 drill bit, and depending on the size of the pot, 1 inch or 2 from the bottom is where I like to go. On the paint cans, it's about 1 inch, but those big black plastic containers, I've gone about 2 inches from the bottom. And just drilled through that, just an 1/8 hole, just the one hole, that's all it needs. And some I've put in the bottom some perlite, but I've been trying more and more with just standard compost. and the standard compost seems to be working fine. But on the ones I've done perlite, about 1.5 inches or 1 inch of perlite, then multi-purpose compost on top, and then I just fill with a watering can. I just fill up the base of the water until it comes out of that little hole I've drilled, and that's it. As easy as that. It's worked really well, and certainly has boosted a lot of the greenhouse stuff that I've got growing, and it's something I can't believe has worked so well. But as TurboStream said earlier, it's so easy when you think about it, because that compost just doesn't dry out. And TurboStream has said about those plastic containers from Morrison's are okay, but a bit thin, which is what I found. Mike Stevens, I'm thinking of taking all the grass up on a lawn, then tilling it and letting it lie fallow all winter, as they did in olden days. Then make a fresh organic garden in the spring. Well, you could till it, in all honesty, or you could also just dig up the grass, or you could do what I've done in the past, and it's definitely worked at home, is I've just built a bed, put that on top of the grass, and then laid some cardboard down and laid manure and compost on the top, and then planted that into that in the spring. If you want to go a step further, just cover that over with a bit of tarpaulin or weed suppressor membrane, and that'll be fine until the spring. And it just saves you having to till the surface or till the lawn. It's ready to go. It definitely works. And I'm not a lover of tilling these days. Since I turned I've always done no dig, but I did try tilling in the past, and it's it definitely would work. Now, Stuart Jackson going on about the wicking beds. Think I will use wicking beds at school for tomatoes, chilies, etc. Thanks. Actually, Stuart, that's a good point. I know I should have mentioned this to Lee when we were on Lee's show, and somebody was asking about how we can get plants through the 6 weeks. Those wicking beds might be the answer. There we go. Solved the problem. Bill and Val's allotments. I was mentioned to you earlier. I remember I was talking about the 2 squashes, baked potato and mashed potato. How did they turn out? As interested. Right, well, I think it was last week we spoke about or was it a week before? We actually spoke about the baked potato, and I tried them, tested them, and they were actually really nice, and they really did taste a potato. Really completely threw my mind. I haven't tried the mashed potato as yet because I haven't harvested them, but I've just had a thought when I was on my allotment. I didn't check that, and was it still there? Was somebody stolen it? But I'll have to try that mashed potato, and I will let you know as well. I'll try and do that live on a live show and do a live tasting. And TurboStream, going back to what Mike Stevens said, Charles Dowding made a no-dig bed on grass using that method that I said. And that's certainly the way I would do it. I think it's easier than trying to till. Okay, so where are we at? It's nearly 7:20. So, quickly wrap up. Stuart Jackson, again on Facebook. Between us all, we will solve all the school gardening problems. I think we will. And Sean James Cameron's just came on that side. I loved the mashed potato squash, and we'll be growing more next time in place of potatoes. So, Bill and Val, it's definitely worth trying those mashed or baked potato squashes, because they are pretty tasty, I think. Right, I'm going to wrap up for today. So as always, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much to the phone calls. Thank you so much for bringing the chat. Bill and Val have just came up with a comment saying there's been a few thefts on our site. Don't know if I've heard. Bill and Val are on the same allotment site as myself. So I've got to say I haven't heard anything. But it doesn't surprise me, because I've seen people over there who I've been a bit suspicious of. So, in fact, I think they may have tried digging up some of my potatoes, now you say that. I'll be getting a camera down there soon and catch up on them. Mike Stevens, who is Charles Dowden? Just trying to wrap up these comments. Charles Dowden is, I want to say, the pioneer of no-dig gardening, but he's certainly a leading authority in the UK for Charles Dowden. Find out, and he promotes no-dig gardening. Certainly somebody to check out, Mike. He has got a YouTube channel, well worth checking out. Turbo Stream is saying he will watch again. Thank you so much. I'll be back again next Sunday, 6 p.m. as always. I will be back here in the podding shed, chatting about gardening. If you want to send me some photos, post it in the Facebook group or send via email at richard@thevegrowpodcast.co.uk. If you want to send some videos to me as well to play in, that's more than welcome as well. We transfer richard@thevegrowpodcast.co.uk. And I'll be back again next week, 6 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube. Let's see if we can get any other sites going at the same time. Keep this chat going. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Till next time, please take care.